Hey everyone, so it's Hearth and welcome back to my channel. It is finally time to be talking about the astrological events for December 2024. Now, I don't know where this year has gone. It is absolutely flown by. I remember New Year like it was yesterday. And now we're talking about the astrological events for December. I don't know what's happened. It's a little bit alarming, but we're going to go with it anyway. Now, as with all of these videos, if you would like to see previous months, I will leave them linked up here. We're going to be talking about what I consider to be the biggest energetic shifts that are happening astrologically in December. Now, this is not every single astrological change that is happening. We are really working at a surface level in the astrology here. So if you are interested in deep diving, there's so much more out there that you can learn. But these are the things that I think could be really important and can really help if you work alongside them magically. Now, as I always say, when it comes to divination like tarot and oracle, and when it comes to astrology, it should not change your life. These are adapting energies. We are riding the wave that comes with these energies, but we should not allow them to dictate what we do. We can adjust things, we can work alongside them, but we should not allow them to control our lives. But with that being said, we're starting at the very beginning of December, and this is a jam-packed month. We're starting on the 1st of December with the new moon in Sagittarius. Now, the new moon is always a time to clear out the old to help us bring in the new. But this Sagittarius new moon, it's very much about clearing out baggage. This is the emotional sludge that has been sticking to us for this entire year and possibly well beyond that point. This year has been really intense energetically. It seems like if it's not one thing, it's something else, and a lot of us have been feeling it, and we might be holding on to things that we otherwise wouldn't be. So we are talking energetic baggage. It's time to have a good cleanse, get rid of all of that gunk. It's also a good time to be looking at the unhealthy thinking patterns and perhaps the defense mechanisms that are no longer working for us. Are we allowing our history and our experiences with people to taint how we perceive people now? Are we applying what things have done in the past to the people we have in our lives now for no particular reason other than self-defense? These are the things that are really important to be working through, and you can do this by yourself, you can do this with journaling, you can do some meditations, you can really take a good hard look inwards and see what it is that we're dragging with us that is making our life now more difficult. A lot of this baggage was likely really useful at the time, but now it's not helping us, and so this is really that point to clear out the old so that when it comes to 2025, we can really start bringing in the new. On December 6th, we have a retrograde. This is the Mars retrograde. Now, I have mentioned it before, but for anyone who isn't already aware, a retrograde is where a planet appears to be traveling backwards in its orbit from the perspective of Earth. It isn't actually traveling backwards, it's just the way it appears. But the energy that is associated with that cosmic body often is altered by this behavior. So it would often counter the energy that it normally offers. Now, Mars is a planet of passion, of fiery drive, and when it's in retrograde, we might still have a lot of that passion and that fiery drive, but we aren't able to direct it towards things that we need to direct it to. Whether this is because there are obstacles in our path that are stopping us from putting this energy where it's meant to be, or perhaps it's us having all of this drive but not having an outlet for it that's suitable. It's really important to not allow this to become destructive because Mars is also the planet named after the god of war. And so we really need to be finding effective outlets for this energy. You might be finding that you are particularly frustrated, that you feel particularly stuck in a rut, but now is a time to be planning for the year ahead. And you will see this later on in this month as well. These themes are going to repeat themselves. It's about putting that energy into useful things, even if those things aren't big and showy. Is it putting it into self-improvement, perhaps starting a new hobby? Perhaps it's about getting everything to line up in the way it needs to line up to progress. It's about not allowing ourselves to get angry and frustrated at our lack of progress because sometimes being still and being stagnant is important. This retrograde is about teaching us that sometimes the go, go, go attitude that we have isn't always healthy. We need to take a step back. We need to breathe. We need to allow ourselves to actually relax. And I don't mean drown out the world by doom scrolling on TikTok or on Instagram Reels. I don't mean drowning yourself in work so you don't have to feel your feels. I mean legitimately relaxing, putting your energy into something that is going to actually help you rather than drowning things out. That's what this time period is really going to be about. And Mars is going to be in retrograde till February. So you're going to have to get real comfortable with this kind of stagnant, frustrated energy for just a little bit. On December 7th, Venus is entering into Aquarius. Now, Venus is a very passionate, loving energy, named after the goddess of love. It makes sense, right? Aquarius is very lighthearted and flowy. It's very floaty in nature. And while you would think that Aquarius is a water sign, it actually isn't. It's an air sign. And so we're looking at this very light energy. And so this is going to very much bring a lightness into our relationships. If you are in a romantic relationship, then it's about connecting with that person on a less passionate, less romantic, and more friendly basis. It's about not looking at what they look like or what they have to offer us. It's not about looking for the passion. It's about looking at who they are as a person. It's about loving them as a friend and as an individual, loving their passions and their interests, loving their quirks and their personality traits, loving their flaws. It's about connecting with them on a deeper level, and this airy energy really allows us to lighten our relationships a little bit. Take it out of being dense and intense and make it a little bit more fun and lighthearted. And this doesn't just apply if you're in a romantic relationship, it applies to friendships and platonic relationships too. And even if you're dating, this also applies. It's about having fun with it. It's about meeting people that legitimately get you, that you can really vibe with, people with the same interests and the same passions you can just talk to, you can have a laugh with. It's less about focusing so much on, I want love, I want romance, I want friendship, and more, I legitimately really like who this person is and I'm going to enjoy their time and we're just going to mutually connect on things. And I think that could be a really useful energy, especially when we're dealing with the Mars retrograde right now. It's very much light-hearted in nature, and it's going to give you more fulfilling relationships even if you're already in a relationship. You'll likely benefit from being best friends with your husband or being best friends with your romantic partner, however they identify. I think that energy is going to be the pivotal bit this month, and it's one of the most light-hearted bits of the entire month, actually. And the lightheartedness kind of continues into December 7th, where Neptune is going direct. Now, Neptune being in retrograde was very much about looking inwards, looking at our shadow selves, looking at the things that we are hiding from the rest of the world, whether that's because we think that others would be ashamed of them, whether we are ashamed of them, whether it's traits in us that we really know that we need to work on, but rather than working on them, we just stuff them in that cupboard. Now that Neptune is going direct, it's about sorting out all of the dark bits that we've shone a light on and making sure we actually organize them. What you don't want is to have taken everything out of this dark drawer, laid it all out on the floor in the bright light so that you can see them, and then the first chance you get, you stuff it back into that dark drawer again. Retrogrades will typically have a 2-week cooling off period, and this is the time to be sorting out your shit. You're going to want to be looking at the things that we've shone light on and figuring out where it fits in your life. Does it fit in your life? Is it something that you need to work through with a professional? Is it something that you need to let go of? Is it something that you need to work on and actually continue to bring out into the light? You want to make sure that you are not just refilling that dark place with more stuff than before. So now it really is a time to be sorting out all of these things that you've pulled out of that dark part of yourself. And this also ties in with that Mars retrograde energy where we might be feeling like we can't progress right now. So we need to be putting our energy into the little things. And these little things could be sorting out all of the stuff that you pulled out of that dark drawer. I'm hoping that analogy makes sense. It makes sense in my brain, but it might not for literally anyone else. On December 15th, we have the full moon in Gemini, and this continues all of the energy that I've already been talking about. Full moons are often about manifesting. It's about progression and bringing things to fruition. And so it might be that you're bringing things to a closure that you've already been working on throughout November. It could be doing spells and rituals to help bring new things to fruition. But when it comes to it being in Gemini, I think now it's really important to be focusing on the little picture, not the big picture. We can often get sucked into seeing what we want to achieve and looking at the big things that we need to do. But often we can trip trip over all of the little things that have gone undone. And once again, ties back into the Mars retrograde here, where it's about focusing on the smaller things. We might not be able to make massive changes to that big picture, but if we can do the little things, you're going to find that when the Mars retrograde comes to an end, progress is going to be way swifter and easier because you've essentially lined everything up while you couldn't do those big things. So if you've been avoiding doing spells and rituals on the little, difficult, perhaps more intricate aspects of your life, now could be a good time to be doing those things. Now, hurrah, another good thing, on December 15th, Mercury is going direct. It went into retrograde at the end of November, and now it is finally back to normal, though do remember, as always, 2-week post-retrograde period is all about picking up those pieces. So now is the time to be communicating with any friends that you've had arguments with, any conversations that need to be had but you didn't have during the retrograde because you were worried about how it was going to play out. The Mercury retrograde is often all about communication and technology, so it can be a good time to be signing any contracts that you didn't sign, double checking anything that you did sign to make sure that it's definitely 100% correct, assessing all of the decisions that you made with communication. Did you say something too harshly to your coworker? Did you insult a friend accidentally? Now is the time to be really evaluating what we did and making decisions as to how we're going to repair situations, how we're going to improve communication going forwards. As I will always mention in these videos, retrogrades are not there to destroy your life. They simply bring up issues that are already present. If you're already bad at communicating and you know you're bad at communicating and you've not done anything to improve your communication, then the retrograde is going to show that up with a spotlight. If you are particularly bad at responding to your emails or you are particularly bad at scan reading terms and conditions, the retrograde is going to shine a spotlight on it. And so now is the time to be going, okay, well, I've seen that this has come up on several different retrogrades now. I think I need to work on this. So once again, this post-retrograde period is very much about learning from that retrograde period, and then the more we can learn from it, the less of an impact it's going to have on us the next time it comes around, which Mercury retrogrades a lot. You'll notice going forwards in these videos, Mercury will retrograde about 4 times a year. 3 to 4 times a year, I believe, as far as my memory is recalling, so it's going to happen a lot, so it's time to learn. On December 21st, we have Yule, we have the winter solstice. It is a magical time of year. It's also the time when the sun is entering Capricorn. Now, this is very much a time to be getting all of your bottles in a line. It's about getting everything in place to progress in the year to come. So write your to-do list, write your New Year's resolutions, write your plans for the year to come. In my case, it's going to be a time for me to be planning all of the videos for the year ahead. For you, it could be organizing different trips that you might go on with your family, or different events that you might show at, or perhaps the hobbies that you want to be carrying out to have a very fulfilling, balanced life. It's about making progress ahead of time so that then if anything difficult or tricky comes up later on, you already have plans in place. Capricorn is very much a stable foundation, build it from the ground up. If we're going to do it, we need to do it right kind of an energy. And so any plans that you need to make, this is a great time to be doing them. And then lastly, I told you this was going to be a jam-packed month. We have another new moon. This is the new moon in Capricorn, and this is very much a time for clearing out the old, bringing in the new. It's definitely this energy of write your to-do lists, write the things that you want to plan out for the next 12 months. It's also a time of getting rid of any unwanted energy. So if you've had guests over at Christmas or for the winter solstice or for Yule or however you choose to celebrate, now is a time to do your personal cleansings, to do your house cleansings, to cleanse your tools, to check in with your spirits, with your deities, with your guides, to make sure that everything energetically lines up for the year to come. As already mentioned, New Year's are definitely a time to clear out the old so we can bring in the new. And as this is happening literally just before New Year's Eve, it's the perfect time to be doing house cleanses, especially if you are going to be celebrating the new year and you're going to have guests round. It's an ideal time to be getting rid of that unwanted energy, putting up additional protections, getting prepared so that when it comes to actual New Year, if you celebrate, you're able to actually enjoy the celebrations or look after your pets that might be really struggling during this evening. So it's a really good way of pre-prepping what you want to be doing on New Year. And sure, you can still do all of your celebratory events, you can still do all of your magical practice on New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, but if there are some things that you can get done in advance and you can time it with that new energy of the new moon, then it's kind of an optimum way of boosting the energy of your spells and rituals. So yeah, there's a lot going on here for December. It is absolutely jam-packed, and I hope that this was useful. If there's anything that you are particularly focusing on, do let us know in the comments section. I think that's going to be really useful, especially if it's things that I have not mentioned here, because as I always say, this really is a shallow dive into astrology. It is such an intense topic. If you did enjoy this video, feel free to give it a like. It really means a lot to me. If you want to know the books that are releasing in December, that's going to be coming out next week. And if you would like to know the astrology that's happened in the past and perhaps you can tie it into events that you might have experienced, I will leave the playlist up here if you do want to check that out. And if you do enjoy the magical content on this channel or in this video, feel free to hit subscribe. I try to post magical content every single week. So with that being said, I hope you're staying safe. I hope you have a marvelous magical day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!